Good afternoon, everybody. Today we celebrate Maundy Thursday. Maundy Thursday is typically my favorite service of the whole year. But since we're not going to have church tonight, I thought I would share with you what happened on Maundy Thursday of Holy Week. Holy Week is the whole week of Easter. And the different things that we celebrated. We started with Palm Sunday, and we learned about Jesus riding a donkey into Jerusalem. So now we're going to skip ahead to Thursday, and this is what happened on Thursday. We're going to read it from this book called Easter Love Letters from God. What love looks like. John chapter 13, verse 1 through 17. The disciples were excited. Jesus had invited them to a secret supper, but they had been walking through the dusty streets of Jerusalem all day. By the time they reached the special room, their feet would be filthy. Thank goodness a servant would be there to wash their feet for them. They didn't want to have dirty feet at dinner time. They were going to eat with a king. But a surprise was waiting for the disciples. When they arrived at the room, there was no servant there. Jesus was kneeling on the floor. A bowl of soapy water was next to him, and he had a towel tied around his waist. Right there in that room, Jesus showed his disciples what love looked like. He took their feet in his hands and he washed them just like a servant would. The hands that created the world washed their feet. The special one from heaven made the disciples feel like they were the special ones. That is what love looks like, Jesus said. Love tells people how special they are. Love makes someone feel wonderful. When I am gone, go into the world and take love with you. The disciples didn't understand that Jesus was going to leave them, but they understood what love looked like because the King of Love had shown them. God's wonderful words to you. If you love one another, everyone will know you are my disciple. John 13:35. So here is a love letter from God just for you. Dear children, did you know that the disciples did what Jesus asked them? They never forgot how Jesus washed their feet that night. They never forgot how much Jesus loved them, so they took that love into the world. And you can do the same. Never forget how much Jesus loves you. Show that love to others. If you do that, everyone will know that you are one of his disciples. Love God. Now it's time to hear about the dinner that Jesus and the disciples were about to have. The Secret Supper. Luke chapter 22, verses 14 through 20, and John chapter 14, 1 through 6. The disciples were ready for their secret supper with Jesus. Their feet were clean. The table was set. They were hungry, but Jesus was quiet. His eyes were sad, and he looked around the table at his friends. He knew this was the last meal he would ever eat with them. Jesus picked up a loaf of bread and broke it. The disciples watched the crumbs fall to the table. This broken bread is like my body, Jesus said. My body will be broken for you. Then Jesus took a pitcher of wine. The disciples watched as he filled the cup. This wine is like my blood. Jesus said softly. Whenever you eat bread and whenever you drink wine, remember me. What did Jesus mean? The disciples were scared. It sounded like he was going to leave them. Don't let your hearts be troubled, Jesus said. I am going somewhere wonderful. You can't come with me yet, but one day I'll come back and I'll take you there. It's a beautiful, happy place with lots of rooms. It's a home that's big enough for everyone, and I am going to get it ready for you. The disciples were still worried. How would they know how to get to this special place? But Jesus told them, I am the way. Jesus whispered, believe in me, be like me, live like me, love like me, because I am the way to heaven. God's wonderful words to you. I am the way. John chapter 14, verse 6. Here's another love letter from God to you. Dear children, close your eyes. I want you to imagine a big, beautiful home with so many rooms you can't count them. Imagine every room is filled with love, laughter, and happiness. It's a place you were never meant to leave because it's all fun and joy and peace there. Open your eyes. You just imagined my home in heaven. Jesus wants everyone in the whole world to live there with him. And the best part is that my home is not hard to find. All you need to do is to believe in Jesus, and he will show you the way. Love, God. Now it's time to find out what happened after dinner. The Gloomy Garden. From the book of Mark, chapter 14, 32 through 42. Darkness fell as the disciples followed Jesus out into the night. Jesus walked through the quiet streets toward the Garden of Gethsemane. He wanted to pray. The moon shone through the olive trees as Jesus knelt down. The garden was gloomy. All was still. Father, are you there? Jesus said quietly. Do I have to die? Is there any other way we can teach the world about heaven? There was no reply. Jesus sobbed. He didn't want to die, but he trusted God, and even though he felt alone, he knew that God was with him. He was ready. The sound of heavy footprints broke the silence of the night. Angry shouts filled the air. Jesus looked through his tears. Shadowy figures came toward him, torches flickering in the darkness. The soldiers were there to take him away. Jesus stood up. It was time to go. God's wonderful words to you. I am always with you. Matthew chapter 28, verse 20. Your next love letter from God. Dear children, have you ever felt alone like Jesus did that night? When you feel like that, I want you to remember something very important. You are never alone. I'm always by your side. Those soldiers might have taken Jesus away from the garden, but they could never take him away from me. And there is nothing that can ever take you away from me either. Remember this promise. I am always with you. Love, God. Thank you so much for joining me and listening to the story Easter Love Letters from God. Tomorrow is Good Friday, and I will share more from this book with you. But tonight I want you to think about how Jesus washed the feet of his disciples to show them what real love is, and how he asked his disciples to show others what that love is like. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and we'll meet again tomorrow.